Hello everyone, it's John Kitchener, Color and Style Consultant, speaking to you from my office near Atlanta, Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful sunny day, got wonderful light to do this virtual palette. Now, people ask, how can you possibly do a virtual palette? How can you read colors that are fabric like this to a monitor? Well, first of all, what a client does is they send me photographs, digital photos of them taken in bright direct sun. And from that sun, you can read the transparency, translucency, layering and opaqueness within the client's skin, which indicates a brightness level. And then, of course, with bright direct sun, you can read how warm, cool, light, dark, and bright, and the different multiple hues that are in the skin to come up with a palette like this. And I use a MacBook Pro calibrated to noon daylight with a Retina display, which is the finest display in a computer monitor that there is. I have tried PCs and it's just not the same at all. This is really a spectacular palette. What's really unique about this is she has velvets galore running through her range, velvets and silks. Now, velvets and silks could not be found in a paint palette or a printed palette. You never want to go to a color consultant that does paint chips or paints palettes because the quality would never be translated into these velvets at all. You could never get the same jewel tone effect that's occurring here. These are currently laid out from stronger down to quieter. And her reds are her romantic colors. Now, people have asked, why is red romantic? Well, red is generally romantic for people because it enhances the gender of the wearer. So it's very expressive of masculinity for a man and femininity for a woman. And her reds go from a fuchsia, deep, deep, deep red velvet out into something slightly in the middle range of warmth. She has some beautiful pinks. Again, they don't go very pale because if she wore a pale pink, it would be like a skin tone and it would wash her out. We don't recommend people wearing their skin tone. It's disempowering and you look actually naked from 20 feet away. Not good. The next range are the complementary colors to her complexion. And in this case, even though she had green eyes, the greens are her most dominant power colors. And then there's the blue-green range and then the blue range. And this shows also how light, dark, and bright she can actually go. Someone told me once, they said, well, you have this many colors in your fabric collection, and my gosh, that's a lot of fabric. And she estimated the amounts and came up with the fact that I have $85,000 invested in fabric. I really never knew that. It was kind of a revelation. But with this much choice, it's just a wonderful tool. The next range is the sporty range of colors, and that would be the yellows and the blues in this case. Every client has a different range. Purple could be somebody's power color. Yellow could be somebody's power color. In this case, it's green, blue, and blue is power, and then yellows and light blues. By the way, these are sort of light lemon yellows, a little bit on the soft side, that are more appropriate for her complexion. These are her elegant colors, which we call sophisticated. In this case, they happen to start with royal blue, they go into purple, they go into lavender and royal purple, and they go slightly redder, not as red as the red purple of my shirt, but they do go slightly redder in the purple. There's kind of a lilac color down here as well as the lavender. Beautiful range, just breathtakingly spectacular, beautiful jewel tone palette. This unique softer range of greens represents her eye color. And she also had a little bit of rust in the middle of her eyes, making her eyes quote unquote hazel. That's not a real color. But so I worked with a green in her eyes because the orangey color, which obviously is completely missing from this palette, and the rust in the middle of her eyes did not work with her complexion. So I stayed with the green in this case, which was much, much more positive. Again, fabric is the most accurate way to see this and how it translates to clothing. Again, not paint samples. Never go to anyone who gives you paint samples. This next range is what we call understated, which are the understated colors are the elegant neutrals. And in this case, she has eggplants, deep purples, and burgundies, a wonderful range of navies, and a beautiful, very finite range of deep teals and dark greens. These are wonderful alternatives to black. They're also great for suits, jackets, and coats. She has also a pale range, which we don't give very often. Those are the refreshing colors, and they're sometimes used in men's shirting. She happens to be able to do large amounts of these with no problem. She had a very tricky time with browns. There's no beige, no camel. She has a very deep brown and some variations of taupe, which are, again, a suit jacket coat idea, probably pants. She was able to do deep black velvet with no problem, and goes out into a very light gray. And her whites were also large amounts. Means she could do a white suit, white dress, white coat, and get away with it, which a lot of people can't do. I gave her not my brightest white. This white fine wheel corduroy worked really the best for her, and it goes down into a kind of a creamy, almost oyster color. And I do check metals for jewelry and accessories for clients too. And I check copper, rose gold, brass gold, and silver. And the only metal that really worked with her complexion and balanced properly with it was silver. So that would be silver or platinum, and it has to be shiny for her. The overall palette has tremendous contrast. She has kind of the extremes of light and dark in her palette, which makes her colors we call striking contrast. And the secondary quality in her colors is what we call subtle blended, which softens the entire range. It kind of grays down the colors so they're not really theatrically, dramatically intense. And there's a smidgen of earthiness in her colors, which is a 5% warmth that's pervading the entire range that adds kind of another mixed aspect to her colors. So each palette is completely customized, completely individual. It's all fabric. This is the most wonderful tool to shop with when you think about how, time and money and knowing the moods of your colors. All of that makes such a huge difference. This is something she's going to be able to use the rest of her life. And again, it's a wonderful, wonderful investment. And thank you for the opportunity for letting me doing your palette.